Premanri So we'd like to continue this evening speaking about the teachings of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. We were particularly talking in the first evening about how Lord Caitanya instructed Srila Rupa Goswami. He met with Rupa Goswami at Prayag, which means where the Ganga meets the Yamuna, at the temple there of Bindu Madhava. And for a period of 10 days, Lord Caitanya explained to Rupa Goswami the nature of loving relationship with the Supreme Lord, and explained the characteristics of each of the 5 rasas which are there in relation to loving service. Then, after hearing Lord Caitanya's instructions, Rupa Goswami requested Lord Caitanya, he said, please allow me to stay with you. Naturally, you want to be with Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. However, Lord Caitanya told him that no, you should go to Vrindavan, you've already come here, you've come to Prayag, you should go to Vrindavan now. And later on, you have an opportunity to meet me. You can come to Jagannath Puri, we can meet there. But for now, you first go to Vrindavan. So in this way, Rupa Goswami went to Vrindavan, and Lord Caitanya then was in Benares, and it was in Benares that he was able to meet with Sanatana Goswami. We described last night how Sanatan was able to escape from the jailhouse by using transcendental trickery. Right? We explained how great souls may also cheat for a great purpose. So Sanatana Goswami tricked his way out of the jail, and he was able to find his way to Benares and meet with Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And we described how at first, when Lord Caitanya sent Chandrasekhar out, go outside and find the Vaishnava, there's a Vaishnava outside your door. Chandrasekhar went out and could only see a Mohammedan mendicant. And this was Sanatana Goswami. So he was then shaved up, he was made clean, cut off the beard and the hair, and he was given also the dress of, well, he took the dress of Babaji. And Lord Caitanya then began to discuss with him. He began to answer Sanatana Goswami's questions. Right? Remember, Sanatana Goswami inquired from Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, Ki Ami, who am I? He wanted to know, who am I and why am I constantly being troubled by the threefold miseries of material existence? So Sanatana Goswami, of course, knew the answer to this question, but still he wanted to hear from the mouth of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, he was inquiring in this way. He asked Lord Caitanya, what is my duty? Who am I? And why am I constantly being troubled by the threefold miseries of material existence? The threefold miseries mean, of course, the miseries of the body and mind, miseries of material nature, and miseries inflicted by other living entities. So Lord Caitanya went on to explain, because of the suffering in the material world, that it is all due to forgetfulness of Lord Krishna. Forgetting Krishna since time immemorial, we meet with miseries in material existence, one after another. Krishna Bahirmukha, Anadir Krishna Bahirmukha, I can't remember now the Bengal, but Anadir Bahirmukha, because we have turned away from Krishna, we've embraced the external energy, that Bahirmukha. Itaiva Maya Tara Deha Samsara Dukkha. And in this way we meet with all the different miseries of the material existence. So Lord Caitanya gave the example about the poor man who was in distress. In the material world, we're all feeling some kind of poverty. Maybe we're in poor health, maybe our education is poor, maybe our financial condition is poor, or maybe our birth is poor. Different ways we are all poor. We're struggling in the material world. We're in distress because of this poverty. But Lord Caitanya described how the astrologer came to the man and said that actually you're not poor. Your father was a rich person, but he died untimely. He was not able to tell you where all the treasure was hidden. All of your family treasure, the family heirlooms, you know. In the past, families would keep some treasure in the form of jewels and so on, and it would be passed on from one family member down to the next, one generation after another. So Lord Caitanya was giving the example how the astrologer said, there is wealth, you have to find it, you have to know where to find it. And then Lord Caitanya went on to explain this example, that the astrologer said, don't dig on the south side, because on the south side there are wasps and drones. And the meaning is, don't be interested in karma kanda activities. Activities just simply to get some material benefit, because that will just simply bring you more trouble. We may think we're getting some benefit, but it's only temporary relief. And after that temporary relief, more distress will come. So it does not solve the problem. And then the astrologer said, don't dig on the western side, because on the western side there's a ghost which will haunt you and bring you many difficulties. If you have to live in some building where there's a ghost, you're constantly troubled with some ghostly figures. It's very disturbing mentally. And so in the same way, those people who are interested in philosophical speculation are like a person who is ghostly haunted. And we should not also dig on the northern side either, because on the northern side there's a big black deadly snake, and that will devour you. And this is compared to those people who practice mystic yoga and who are interested in merging with the Supreme, giving up their individuality, They want the state of kaivalya, or oneness. So this is like being devoured by a big snake, because we're all eternal individuals. As Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor in the future, not all these kings, nor in the future will any of us ever cease to be. So Lord Krishna is saying, I, you, and all these kings. First person, I, second person, you, and third person, all these kings. In other words, everyone is eternally an individual. And this idea of becoming, of merging into the oneness is simply artificial. But the astrologer went on, if you dig on the eastern side, if you just remove a little of the earth, then immediately you'll be able to touch the treasure, you'll find the real wealth. And that real wealth is there in the form of the Vedic scriptures. That the real treasure for all mankind is there in the Vedic knowledge. If we will take advantage of the scriptures and hear this knowledge, then we can be saved from all of the distress of the material existence. So Lord Caitanya was giving this instruction to Sanatana Goswami. And then he went on to describe to Sanatan about the position of Lord Krishna, how it is Lord Krishna who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, above all other forms of the Lord, all other Vishnu avatars, Narayan, all the different incarnations, they're all coming from the one original Supreme Lord. Ete chamsa kala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. It is Lord Krishna who is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Caitanya explained to Sanatan that Lord Krishna is not just an avatar, he is avatari. He is the source of all of the avatars. Everyone, everything is coming from him. And all living entities are also coming from him. We're all his energy, we're all his parts and parcels. We're one with the Lord, but at the same time different from him. Jai So Lord Caitanya went on to elaborate on the nature of the spiritual world. How there are an infinite number of Vaikuntha planets. And each and every one of these Vaikuntha planets are infinite in size. There are an unlimited number of millions of miles. And these Vaikuntha planets represent only a portion of the spiritual sky. Because in the spiritual sky, there is Goloka Vrindavan. And Goloka is there in the form of a lotus flower. And in that central region of Goloka is Vrindavan. Lord Caitanya went on to have explained how the spiritual sky is 3/4 compared to the material world. The material world is described as Ekapad Vibhuti, whereas the spiritual world is Tripad Vibhuti. The spiritual sky is 3/4 and the material sky is 1/4. One tiny portion of the vast spiritual sky. Lord Caitanya went on to explain how in the material sky there's still an infinite number of planets and universes. And within every universe there's Brahma and Shiva. And there's different Brahmas and different Shivas, and they each have many heads. Lord Shiva has many heads. Lord Brahma also has many heads. And there's also an Indra in each universe. And Indra, of course, he doesn't have many heads, but he has many eyes. His body's all covered in eyes. And so Lord Caitanya was explaining to Sanatana Goswami how insignificant even the position of Lord Brahma is in the universe. And Lord Caitanya described to Sanatana Goswami how Lord Krishna was residing in Dwarka on one occasion when Lord Brahma came to see him. And Lord Krishna inquired from his servant, which Brahma wants to see me? And when the servant asked Lord Brahma, Lord Krishna wants to know which Brahma it is who wants to see him, Lord Brahma was surprised. And he was surprised. But anyway, he said, anyway, you tell him, four-headed Brahma. So then the messenger went back and informed Lord Krishna that Chaturmukh Brahma wants to see you. So Lord Krishna told his servant, bring him in. So when Lord Brahma came in before Lord Krishna asked Brahma, yes, what do you want? Why have you come here? What can I do for you? And Lord Brahma said to Lord Krishna, he said, yes, I will tell you, but first, before I tell you why I came, I want you to answer my doubt that before I was allowed into your room, I was asked which Brahma wanted to see me. So am I to understand that there's another Brahma beside me? And Lord Krishna smiled to himself and said, oh, you want to know about more Brahmas? And so Lord Krishna immediately within his mind, he called other Brahmas and Shivas also to come. And many Brahmas came. And our universe is quite small. Lord Brahma has only 4 heads. But these other Brahmas came, and some of them had 10 heads, some had 20 heads, some had hundreds of heads, some even had thousands of heads. And they all came, and they were all bowing before Lord Krishna with all of their heads. Not only Brahmas, but also Shivas. They all came and appeared there in Dwarka, in the assembly room of Lord Krishna. And they all offered their respects to Lord Krishna, showing Lord Brahma how insignificant his position was. That there are so many other Brahmas, there are so many Shivas, there are so many other great personalities throughout the creation. And that is all just in the material creation. But far beyond the material creation is the spiritual sky. And in the spiritual sky, all the eternal associates of the Lord are residing. So in this way, Lord Caitanya was revealing this kind of information to Sanatana Goswami. And this information, it was on the basis of these teachings which Lord Caitanya gave to Sanatana Goswami that he was able to write books like the Brihad Bhagavat Amrita. In recent times, of course, the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust have published the Brihad Bhagavat Amrita. It's a very wonderful book written by Sanatana Goswami. It was initially published and now it's been republished by the BBT. So it's available from India now at a much more reasonable price. It's very, very important, very wonderful book to read by Srila Sanatana Goswami. And not only did he write the book, but he also wrote the commentaries on each of the verses. So it's very wonderful. Try to get the opportunity. Those of you who like to read, please try to read this wonderful book by Sanatana Goswami, Brihad Bhagavat Amrita. And it's written under the direction of the teachings he received from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya went on to describe the process of devotional service, and particularly the regulative principles of devotional service. Different things which we have to do, right? In performing devotional service, things we have to do. For example, we have to accept a spiritual master. We have to take initiation from him. We have to serve him. We have to inquire from him. Different duties are there. We're meant to also do things like worship Tulsi, We're meant to come and see the deities, accept the Charanamrita. We're meant to offer prayers to the deities. We're meant to also take part in different festivals like Janmashtami and Julan Yatra. These are all different items of devotional service. And Lord Caitanya explained them to Sanatana Goswami. And he particularly highlighted the importance of 5 aspects of devotional service. Beginning with hearing the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, and then Sankirtan, performing kirtan in the association of devotees, worshipping the deity, associating with devotees, and residing in a holy place like Mathura or Dwarka or Vrindavan. So these were 5 items which Lord Caitanya emphasized to Sanatana Goswami and told them it, by being attracted to even one of these 5 items, then one can make great progress in life. Lord Caitanya also warned Sanatana Goswami about the obstacle or the danger in devotional service. And the danger comes in associating with non-devotees. Lord Caitanya said, Asat Sangatya E Vaishnav Acha Stri Sangha Ekasadu Krishna Bhakti A. The qualification of a devotee, a Vaishnava, is that they will give up the association of the asat. Asat means materialistic people. We should be very careful how we associate with non-devotees, materialistic-minded people, because this will contaminate our own consciousness of Krishna. Association is so important in our practice of Krishna consciousness. We have to be very careful, therefore, where we associate. If we associate with the opposite sex, it's also very dangerous for our Krishna consciousness, because in the association of the opposite sex, then we will be influenced by bodily desires. We have to be very cautious where to associate, who to associate with. If we associate with people who are too much attached to materialistic things, or who are particularly interested in the opposite sex, then this is also not good. It is also harmful for our progress in Krishna consciousness. Therefore, Lord Caitanya said, Asat Sangha Tyag. Give up the association of this asat. Sat means eternal, so asat means the material. Give up those things which are, where the interest is simply materialistic, the bodily conception of life. This is the barrier to progressing in Krishna consciousness. Sanatana Goswami then requested Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to speak on the Atmarama Sloka. Now the Atmarama Sloka is a very important verse which is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Atmaramascha munayo nirgranta apirukrame kurvanti ahaitakim bhaktim itam bhuta guno harihi. This verse is often bewildering to philosophers and scholars, because this verse describes that even a person who is Atmarama, Atmarama means one who takes pleasure in the self. In other words, they have understood they're not the body. They've realized themselves as a soul. But even one who is on that platform of Atmarama, who has given up all materialistic concerns, even that person is attracted to hear the topics of Krishna. So this verse is puzzling to people, and therefore we find earlier when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had gone to Jagannath Puri, when he met with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, at that time Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was a great scholar and Pandit, he was teaching the Mayavadi sannyasis Vedanta Sutra, he requested Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, please explain this Atmarama sloka to me. Of course, at that time, Lord Chaitanya said to Sarvabhauma, he said, you explain it first, and then I will explain it. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya gave a very nice philosophical explanation, and Lord Chaitanya was pleased, and he said, oh, you are none different from Brihaspati. Brihaspati is the guru of the demigods. He said, only Brihaspati could speak like this and give such a nice explanation. But then Lord Chaitanya went on to speak on more meanings of the Atmarama sloka. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya gave some meanings, but then Lord Chaitanya, without even touching on the meanings which Sarvabhauma gave, Lord Chaitanya went on to explain the Atmarama sloka in another 18 different ways, which completely amazed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, because he thought of himself as being a great scholar. So again, Sanatana Goswami had heard about this, and he requested Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that you please tell me the meaning of the Atmarama sloka. I want to hear it myself from your mouth. So Lord Chaitanya then began to speak. He said, Lord Chaitanya said, I can only speak by your mercy. He said, without your blessings, I won't be able to see anything. He said, I don't remember what I said before when I explained it to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. But for your sake, I will try to speak something. Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. So then Lord Chaitanya began to speak, and he went on to explain the Atmarama sloka in 61 different ways. So this is all. There's a wonderful chapter there in the Madhya Lila, chapter 23. Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, describes Lord Chaitanya's explanation on the Atmarama sloka. And in the course of explaining the Atmarama sloka, Lord Chaitanya also spoke about the value of association. And he told a story, which is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the story is about Narada Muni and how he associated with Magrari, the hunter. That Narada Muni was coming through the forest. He'd gone to Prayag, and when he was moving in the nearby area around Prayag, he saw, first of all, a deer which had been pierced by arrows, and his legs had been crippled. So he was in great pain. And then he proceeded a little further, and then he saw a boar, and the boar was in a similar condition. His body had been pierced by arrows, and his legs were broken. So he was twisting and curdling in great pain. He couldn't die, but he was in great pain. And then a little further on, Narada Muni saw there was a rabbit, also in this similar condition. So Narada Muni, being a Vaishnava, being a pure devotee, seeing these creatures suffering, he felt very sorry. He felt greatly pained to see them in a painful condition. And it was at that time, then he observed there was a hunter hiding nearby. And the hunter was about to kill some more animals. So Narada Muni came off the path in the forest, and he came up to where the hunter was. And when Narada Muni came up to where the hunter was, then all the animals became alerted, and they all ran away, they all fled, because they understood some danger was there. So the hunter, Magrari, was initially quite upset that, oh, why did you come? You chased all the animals away, they saw you coming, now they've all gone away, how I can hunt these animals? You ruined my hunting. And Narada Muni explained to the hunter that, my dear hunter, that you're doing such a sinful business. That he said, I just want to request one favor from you. Narada Muni said to the hunter, just give me one favor, just do one thing for me. And the hunter said, what is that? He said, you want some of my skins? You want a tiger skin? You want some of my animal skins? What? I can give you some. Narada Muni said, no, I don't want any of your skins. I'm not interested in any of your dead bodies. But I would request you that instead of just half killing these animals, at least kill them. Don't just leave them, don't just be so cruel, don't torture them and leave them to suffer in such a painful condition. And Narada Muni went on to explain to the hunter that by putting them into this painful condition, you are going to get great sinful reactions yourself. You give pain and suffering to others, it will come back to you in proportion. As we do to others, it comes back. As you sow, so shall you reap. So if we give pain and suffering to other living entities, that pain and suffering comes back onto us. As Narada Muni warned the hunter in this way, that you should kill the animals instead of just being so cruel and to torture them. But the hunter said, well, my father taught me like this. I'm just doing what my father taught me. But Narada Muni went on to explain to him that you're going to suffer greatly, that each and every one of these animals which you have killed will come and kill you. This is the law of karma. The law of material nature is like that. And so the hunter, by the association of Narada Muni, became affected. And then he inquired from Narada Muni that, but this is how I live, this is how I maintain my life. I have my wife, and I go hunt animals, and then I can get some money for our family to maintain ourselves. But Narada Muni warned him that you have to give up this business. You can maintain yourself very adequately without killing animals. And Narada Muni requested the hunter that you break your bow and then you come with me and I will show you. You can maintain yourself very nicely simply by the grace of the Supreme Lord. So with great reluctance, Magrari finally broke his bow. Prabhupada said this is just like initiation. When we come to Krishna consciousness, the spiritual master says, no more meat, fish and eggs, no more intoxication, no more gambling, no more illicit sex, right? Give up all the sinful things. Just like Magrari, he had to break his bow to give up his sinful actions. So we also, when we come to Krishna consciousness, we promise the spiritual master, no more sins. We will simply follow your instructions. And Narada Muni gave Magrari instruction that you make a little cottage for yourself here in the forest, and you plant one tulsi tree. And then you sit there and you chant the holy name of the Lord. And the hunter was thinking, how will I eat? But Narada Muni, don't worry, everything will be provided. Krishna will provide for you. Everyone lives by the grace of God. You will also not be forgotten. So by the association of Narada Muni, Magrari gave up his sinful activities and he went home and he gave away all of his possessions, all of his animal skins and so on, which he accumulated. He got rid of all of his weapons and so on, which he used, and traps for killing animals. He got rid of everything, destroyed everything, and whatever was of value, he gave it away to the Brahmanas, and then he came and he sat there with his wife. They sat there at the Tulsi tree and they chanted the holy name. And people from the village heard how this hunter has become a devotee. And the people from the village would all come and visit, and they would bring different foodstuffs to him. So much so that when Narada Muni came back to see them, the hunter was complaining that they're bringing me too much. We've got more than we need. Please don't give us so much. And Prabhupada remarks that it is the business of a devotee not to accumulate more than necessary. Prabhupada, he gives the example, Lord Caitanya had one servant, Govinda, and Govinda would keep this Haritaki, which Lord Caitanya was fond of. But Lord Caitanya would chastise him and say, don't keep all this for me. Krishna will provide every day. You don't have to worry that you have to store things and keep a big accumulation. You just keep what you need for one day, that's enough. Live by the day. Don't be accumulating for the future for so many months and so many years. We're planning. So just simply learn to depend on Krishna. Lord Caitanya instructed his servant Govinda in this way. So in the same way, this hunter, Magrari, he became like Vanaprastha. He became retired from the material business, from the family affairs, from worrying about his own maintenance, and he simply engaged in spiritual activity. And then of course the incident is there that when Narada Muni came with Pratap Muni, the Magrari was coming to meet them, and there were insects on the path. So he was very careful to remove the insects from the path. That previously he'd been a hunter and killing animals, and now through the association of devotees, even little insects he did not like to kill. So this was very encouraging, very interesting to Narada Muni and Parvat Muni to see the transformation in the heart of this hunter. And this example was given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Sanatana Goswami to impress upon him the value of association with devotees. So how much we also want to value the association of devotees. The Srila Sanatana Goswami, he retired also to Vrindavan forest, and together with Rupa, and then later on they were joined by Jiva Goswami, and then of course Tapan Mishra's son came. Tapan Mishra had been there in Benares. Later on his son came, that was Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami came from Trichy, came from Sri Rangam. He was a nephew of or he was one of the sons of the Pujari there who had given shelter to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during the Chaturmas. So in this way the Goswamis were all residing there in Vrindavan. Even before that, Bhugarbha and Lokanath Goswami had come and they were living there. And living there in Vrindavan, their business was to establish temples. Each of the Goswamis, somehow they managed to have wonderful temples built. How did they do it? They didn't bring any wealth with them, but by the arrangement of Krishna. Sanatana Goswami was having his deity, Madan Gopal, Madan Mohan. That deity, Madan Mohan, now it's in Karoli. The original deity is in Karoli. Used to be in Vrindavan. Madan Mohan temple is still there, wonderful temple, which was built there by the help of some admirer. Sanatana Goswami helped one man to save a big cargo. So he was so grateful to Sanatana Goswami, he came back and he paid for the construction of the temple. So we don't have to worry about money. Krishna sends the money to build temples when we need them. When Krishna wants a temple, Krishna will arrange it. Big temples. Where our business is simply to preach and to chant the holy name and to engage in worship of Krishna, just as Sanatana Goswami was doing. He was living there in Vrindavan, living under a different tree every night. And how were they eating? We explained they were doing madhukari, just like the bee, taking a little from each flower. They would come to home and take a little. They would beg some morsel of food. And then in this way they would maintain. And often they would even forget about eating because they were so absorbed in the loving service of Krishna. They gave up all their bodily needs and simply absorbed themselves in the service of the Lord. And of course at the same time they also wrote these wonderful books. Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, very productive. They wrote many, many books. We have some of them, Nectar of Devotion and Nectar of Instruction, both from Rupa Goswami. Sanatana Goswami wrote Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is full of instructions for devotees. Brihad Bhagavatamrita, we explained, is a very, very important book on the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Sanatana Goswami also wrote important commentaries on the pastimes of Krishna from the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. So many things. This is our treasure, right? This is our wealth of our Krishna consciousness movement. The books of the Goswamis. They have given us these books. And in our lifetime, we want to read these books. We should plan our life in such a way that we can hear and study these books throughout our life. Make our life perfect in this way, hearing the teachings of the Goswamis. Prabhupada said, when you're young men, travel and preach. In old age, you can go and sit in Vrindavan and read the books of the Goswamis. Okay, so we will stop now. Thank you very much. Any questions? Anybody? Maharaj? Anything you'd like to say? Anybody? So, yes, Prabhu.
People will take opportunity. You say now is our young going preaching this, old going read. That means before they preach, they have to read first. Otherwise, how to preach?
Yes, you're right. Yeah, before going preaching, you have to, but actually you don't need to know very much to preach. In preaching to people, you don't need to preach about the higher things and all the teachings of the Goswamis. You just need to know basic things. For most people, you just have to teach the basic knowledge to them. You don't need to know a lot to preach. But you need to use what you know. That's the idea. You know, what do we need to preach? You know, we just simply have to preach. You're not the body, we're the servant of Krishna, we have to control the tongue, teach them to chant Hare Krishna, basic philosophy. You don't need to preach a lot of high things about Radha and Krishna and the gopis and all of this. That's not required. But for our own inner development, we need to hear these things. So that is the point, that at the end of life, we can absorb ourselves more in the pastimes of Krishna. Most people, they're not quite ready to hear everything about Krishna. First, they need to hear the not the body. They need to be convinced about the misery of material existence. And they need to be awakened to the higher purpose of life. So we don't need to read the books of the Goswamis before we go out and preach. But we need to know the basic knowledge, Bhagavad Gita. That's important for preaching. Okay? So we have some prasadam here. one of our nice devotees prepared some prasadam for everyone. Maharaj.
Oh, Maharaj, take first.
Thank you.
Oh, take Maharaj.